What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Good morning. Good to have you guys here. Thanks for joining us for episode 3 of JUCO Hoops Insider with my man BG. What up, B?
Nothing, dog. How we doing?
Good, man. Last week was your birthday. Now it's just a regular Friday.
Now what do we do?
I know. What do we do? What do we do with ourselves? We got an awesome lineup, though. We'll get kick started. So episode 1, you broke the news about top 10 JUCO players. Your number 1 player was from John A. Logan. And we also talked in episode 1 about an NBA draft pick from junior college. Was also from John A. Logan. So a lot to talk about. We actually have –
and a potentially future NBA draft pick from John A. Logan, who has now committed to Western Kentucky.
I like it. I like it. So the plot thickens. It keeps going. So we will not waste a lot of time. We'll get straight to it. We got 2 guests from John A. Logan. We have a head coach and assistant coach that we will bring into the studio after a quick commercial. I want to take time to acknowledge one of our partners, Rising Coaches. Every coach wants to rise in their career in one way or another. We're all looking for professional development, access to tools, and relationships that can help us grow and help us advance in our career. Rising Coaches provides just that. You can visit Rising Coaches at www.risingcoaches.com. Their memberships are just $10 a month and provides a genuine community to help you grow and advance in your career. Welcome back. We got head coach Kyle Smithpeters, and we got his assistant, Coach John Clancy. So welcome, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. I know you guys know BG really well. I'm going to let him kind of take over a little bit, and we'll have some fun talking about Johnny Logan hoops.
Hey, John, before we get going, when he wakes up in the morning, does his hair always look that perfect?
It really does. It never moves.
It's weird.
He's a very handsome man.
I mean, this must take hours in the morning. It's either instantaneous or it takes forever. I don't know which it is. So
that's the inner Beyonce in you, Coach. You just woke up like that.
Well, can't hear you, Coach.
I think you might be on mute, Coach Smithpeters.
I was saying I give credit to my wife. She gets me ready every morning.
There you go.
I'll grow up one of these days.
I love it. I love it. So real quick, I'll just jump into let's just talk first, straight to the point. We had a player picked in the NBA draft, is now a part of the Clippers organization, from what I understand, came from you guys' program. Talk a little bit about him specifically real quick, if you don't mind.
Well, obviously it's big news and excited for Jay. I'm very quick to give Jay the credit because Jay is the one that did the work. He's the one that stayed in late, did the extra shooting, did the extra lifting, whatever it may be. And, granted, there's a few extra, gray hairs on the side of my head from Jay, but it's that's just part of the process of being a coach. We've all on this call been there, and we all know what we have to deal with at times. And there's as much mentoring and as much guidance as it is coaching on the floor. And, with Jay, I got to give him a lot of credit. The first time I met Jay and watched Jay was in practice. I made a list of just a bunch of different things in practice. He didn't do well. Coach says do 10 push-ups. He does 6. Touch the line, misses it by this much. And it was easy for him. He was disinterested because he was that much better. But I'll give him a lot of credit because I showed him this list of 30 things and just said, hey, here's what I noticed in practice. I went on my phone, but these are the things that we will get you better at. And we won't allow these shortcuts. And he looked at it and kind of smiled. I said, don't you want to read it all? And he said, no, I'm good. And he knew. And he wanted that accountability, though. And that's, the thing that was impressive to me about Jay was he came in, he worked extremely hard. And, there was some ups and downs. But he's 17 years old when he stepped foot on our campus. He's a young kid. But he did a good job of maturing and growing. And, we ended up winning 23 straight games at the end of the season. And 23 of our 24. But, I think we were well on our way to having a great run at Hutch. So, like I said, you got to give him a lot of credit for putting that team on his back and doing what you would hope a pro would do and step up and be a pro.
Coach Clancy, what was he like to work with every day?
Well, it's an interesting situation. I was at Southern Illinois University when Jay got there, and then I was at Triton last year. So I wasn't able to coach him directly, but I kind of saw him when he came in. And then I actually came down when they were in the region tournament, watched their day of practice against getting ready for Wabash Valley and then ultimately Vincennes. And to see where that kid came from to where he finished up, it would have been scary if Logan was able to play at Hutch, because I do think they were the hottest team in the country, and it was because Jay Scrub was locked in.
Coach Kyle, what would you say? What has the process been like for the NBA? I mean, every kid wants to go to that level, right? And JUCO guys are no different than any other level. So what was it like, the process of being able to get those calls from NBA teams? Did you know he was going to be an NBA guy? Kind of talk about that a little bit, and then I'll pass it to BG.
Well, and it was interesting to see the business side of it. I mean, it's what you would expect in a $1 billion business. They do their work, they do their homework, they ask questions, and I mean, it's funny. It's kind of very cliche. No one asked me how well does he score the ball. No one asked me, really anything in that lines. It was the simple question, or the questions you would, kind of shock you. Is he on time? Is he accountable? How does he treat your manager? A lot of, guys wanting phone numbers for your secretary, teachers, strength coach. Like I said, they invest. It's a $1 billion business. They want to invest millions of dollars in you. They're going to know every answer. We had one organization that had an ex-FBI agent as a background guy calling our police here. It's just, on campus, and I get a call from our chief of police on campus that, hey man, just got a call and want to know about Jess. I said, tell him whatever you want to tell him. He's shoot, you went and rebounded for him last night at 11 o'clock. Tell him he shot the ball well too. So I think all those things that people think is very much a cliche, what they're asking is very much the truth. And that's what they want to know. They know they can play. That's why they're in the gym. And they want to know the other things. And, that was very good to see, because I think it resonates with, the truth and what our other guys need to hear. It's as much about being a hard worker, a good teammate, and everyday guy as it is being a talented guy. So I was very happy to see that process take place. And I talked to Brandon, quite a bit, who talks to a lot of NBA guys as well. And it was just, a very good experience for me to see quite a bit, just how that side of the business works.
I think any kids that end up listening to this or watching this or whatever, go back and listen to what he just said again, that when the NBA is calling, they're not asking how he comes off of a ball screen. They're asking how's he treat the manager? They're calling the local chief of police. Like, if you don't think that every interaction that you have with somebody matters at that level, you're crazy, because every interaction matters. If Jay sticks in the league, and let's say he's even just the 13th guy on the bench or something, the 13th guy on the bench better be the best dude on the team. Like, not as far as a player goes, but as a person, because in the NBA, you've got LeBron, you've got James Harden, you've got those guys, and then you've got everybody else. And the everybody else, they do not have one iota of space for you to not be a good person or a good teammate, because it's just the difference between the number 3 guy and the number 13 guy is not that big. Yeah. And so they're always looking for every little edge, every little angle for who the player is that we're going to keep on the roster. And so when Jay is able to have 100 different people called and they're all able to give positive answers about him, you get drafted.
Yeah. And all honesty, kind of what Brandon is saying, and honestly, it was such a weird year because these guys couldn't watch Jay work out in person. That's one of the most impressive things, is to see him in person. And the Clippers, they had their front office came in twice to watch him before all the COVID stuff hit. They came in, I think, 7 times. I mean, every team in the NBA came in. The Clippers came in the most and had the most interest, and really was happy to see him up with the Clippers because they have a long-term plan. They're like, hey, we know he's good now. We want to see where he is when he's 24, 25. I liked that idea because they were, very upfront with the fact that we want to see Jay mature into a young man. Not necessarily, it'd be great if he can come and help us now, but we're willing to put in the time to make him good. And I thought that was very, heartwarming to me to see that. And honestly, and it's anyone watching, any young prospect like Brandon talked about, they were most impressed with Jay's just overall being genuine, being honest. Yeah, he had some bumps in the road. He was openly talking about those, about how, didn't do this right, learned a lesson. Didn't do this right, learned a lesson. And this is why it made me better. And wasn't making excuses, wasn't beating around the bush. Just, he manned up to it. And just him coming across as that genuine person, which is what he is, a very honest person, was what I really thought propelled him in a lot of directions, and allowing him to be with such a good organization.
At what point, Coach, did you realize like this kid has a chance to really play in the NBA? Not just play in the NBA, but actually get drafted? Because there's a difference.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that go a roundabout way, which is still a great way to get there. It's hard to get there, period. But to get drafted, I don't know if there's ever been a JUCO player get drafted directly from JUCO. Does anybody know the background on that?
Yeah, there's been 2.
Played with the last one, Dante Smith at Southeastern, 2004. He was actually my teammate when I was in junior college. And I'm not sure. Yeah, and there was one before that, actually a first rounder, I believe, Brandon. I can't think who it is, but he got drafted second. He was like second or third, 27, 28, somewhere in there. But and it doesn't happen. It's just, and honestly, you look at it, these kids are, in junior college, typically 17, 18, 19, maybe 20 years old or younger. They're taking the junior college route, whether it be physically because they weren't developed, didn't have the options, or maybe because of an academic situation, transferred out from a Division I. So typically it's kind of a different stopping point as opposed to being a 5-star recruit or, being the guy that's ready to go to the league right then or right there. But like I said, it worked out well for Jay. That's what he wanted to do, is be in the NBA now. I think, from talking to several agents and several organizations, I think they very well knew, and Jay knew, I could go to Louisville and probably play here and be a top 20 pick, top 15 pick. Every, the 6, 7 different GMs I talked to all said Jay's a top 15 talent in the draft. It was a very interesting year with COVID, them not being able to watch him work out in person. But, like I said, give Jay a lot of credit, give him all the credit. He's the one that, this is what he wanted to do. And once again, Jay put his mind to something and was able to accomplish it. And, just really looking forward and very excited to see, hopefully a very long career. And I mean, the crazy thing is he's the 5th player in the last, I think since 2000, 2001, that's, from our region that's, made it to the league. So it just speaks volumes for what our league is and the direction our league's going.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it is kind of crazy to sit here and have this conversation, and we've got the John A. Logan gear on and the John A. Logan logo in the background, and we're talking about a kid drafted. Like, it's still just like I said, it doesn't happen very often. But
no, it doesn't. And credit to, honestly, credit to you and to the guys in your business. I mean, Brandon, you've done a great job of pushing guys and making, that exposure well known to junior college guys. I know, a lot of the other services have done a good job too of making it known. It's kind of been, and I don't want to use the word hidden gem because there's been guys drafted, but the access to junior college players is much better now. Because of guys like you and you guys pushing. So appreciate that and what you guys are doing for the junior college player and the junior college business.
Well, it's thank you, Coach. That's overstated, but the modern ability to see anybody anywhere, I think is so exciting in basketball, whether it's a kid in the middle of nowhere, Africa, or if it's somebody in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, right? And 15 years ago, that was hard. It doesn't seem like it really was not that long ago that it was difficult to even get to really see junior college players.
Yeah.
And now with people like Synergy and stuff like that you can see these guys, and there's really, really good basketball players out there. And, now with some of these rule changes and stuff that are coming down the pike, I don't know. Some people think that junior college is going to take a hit. I think there's going to be a bump in talent in junior college for sure, because some of these high school kids that maybe aren't getting the things that they thought they should or wanted or whatever are going to start looking at junior college as a good opportunity. And stories like Jaden Scrub are going to help with that narrative. And now you guys have, I think, the best front court in the country. And if we want to even get objective about it, well, then I don't know how close it really gets, because you've got Sidney Curry, who just committed to Kansas, and now Jamarian Sharp, who has committed to Western Kentucky. And those are 2 guys that are going to be on NBA radars at some point, or already are on NBA radars. I've, talked to different teams about both of them so far. So maybe let's start with Sidney, and maybe just talk a little bit about him. Like, we know who he is as a player. For anybody, listening to this or watching this that doesn't know about Sidney, just go search his name real quick on YouTube, and you're just going to see a guy that like punches people in the face and dunks on them. He's huge. He's fantastic. I love it. It's like the most athletic 260-pound beast I've ever seen. But talk to us a little bit just about who he is and the kind of work that he puts in and the things that we talked about, with what interest NBA teams about kids and kids like Sydney.
And I think, and I want Coach Clancy to speak here too, because he's, spent a lot of time with Sydney here lately, but I think it's one of those things of taking advantage of an opportunity. Sydney came in at his peak, he was 279, 280 last year at times. And it's funny watching film of him last year, move up and down the floor to where now he's at 252 and, just chiseled. I'd like to look like that with my shirt off. And it's not going to happen ever, but it's and he's such a good and humble kid, and he's done a great job academically. Sydney's GPA right now is like a 3.35. He came in as a non-qualifier academically, and it just goes to show when you can give a kid a standard, when you can give a kid that has some motivation, some confidence, and show him that it can be done. Like schoolwork to Sydney now is easy. Like he said, he goes, Coach, I just do the work. He said, if I just get it done, I get good grades. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Just that easy, so it's a great approach. It's just, it's kind of like he approaches basketball. Coach, if I just jump in the air, I'm going to get the rebound and go dunk it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's no different. So, but he's such a good kid and such a hard worker. And what you see in games is what he really brings every day. He just gets the job done. And it's great for our environment, great for our culture here, because here's a guy that's got offers from everywhere in the country. Here's a guy that I think the big point of this took advantage of an opportunity that wasn't his by kind of being in the shadow of Jace Crow. A lot of NBA guys came in last year. Well, guess what? Hey, who's the 6'8.5", 270 guy that's putting his elbows in the rim? And that's how you get noticed. Yeah. And you'll take advantage of someone else's opportunity. And that's what Sydney did. And that's what Jamarion did. But, Sydney did such a good job of not just being satisfied with what he is, but, what he wants to be. And, I think that's what he is still not happy with where he's at. He still wants more, and he's very hungry with that.
Coach Clancy, when you work out with him on a day-to-day basis, what's different about him? I mean, we talk about like the size. Like you're not supposed to be able to physically do the things he does at 200 and even 52 pounds, let alone 270 pounds. I mean, it's bonkers. But that aside, like what is it about him and his work ethic when he's with you in the gym like that makes him special?
Yeah, the way the game's going, everybody wants to kind of be positionless. And Sydney has an emerging perimeter game, but Sydney knows where his bread's buttered, and that's on the interior. His physicality, along with his explosiveness, are things that are unmatched. Like he loves contact. He has multiple efforts on every possession. He's the most relentless rebounder I've ever coached, and I've been able to train pros, guys getting ready for the NBA draft, and guys at the Division I level. And Sydney's willingness to know who he is and be that guy, and to be 6'8" and 255 and get off the ground like he does and be as explosive as far as quickness. But I think what you'll see this year, obviously he's going to rebound the basketball. He's going to run the floor. He's going to score on the block. But his face-up game's getting better. He's shooting free throws better. And that's a credit to the kid because he's in the gym all the time, and he's a gym rat to the fullest thing. And we want everyday dudes, and that's the standard that Coach Kyle has kind of set at Logan. And Sydney exemplifies that as good as anybody. When you're best players, when you're hardest workers, you got a chance to be pretty special.
For sure. And one of the things that I love about him, you talk about his humbleness and stuff, like there's no hype train to Sydney, right? There absolutely could be. I think he's the number one player in the country this year, and he could not care less about any of that stuff. I sent out some tweets that people hated, the comparing players thing, right? It's this is the kind of guy if they make it to the NBA, this is the kind of guy that I think they would be like. Some of these dudes hated those comparisons. And he probably didn't love the comparison to Ben Wallace either, because Ben Wallace is a punch in the face, dunk on your rebound, 6'8" guy. And like, that was it. But the dude made a lot of money in the league for like 12 years. Right. And what a lot of these guys don't really realize is when you get to the NBA, those 10 things that you do really well on the court, they're going to ask you to do 2 of them. Right. And if you try the third one, they're going to sit you on the bench. So, but he didn't say a word about it. I know he's got a face-up game. I know, what I saw in one of your scrimmages was he caught a little too far outside on the baseline towards the corner, and just how smooth he was getting to his position back in. He didn't panic. He didn't, just throw up a bad jumper or something like that. He worked his way in there, and his just touch around the rim has come so far, which is not what you would describe Ben Wallace's game as when he was in the NBA. So the comparison was more along the lines of physicality and toughness and dunking and rebounding. But he didn't say a word about it.
No, he didn't say a word to us either. Just, even about recruitment, you didn't see him on Twitter or this and that, just line it up. He's a very, conservative type mentality. And I think you see that as a player. Like, I think he made a great point. He does what he does well, and he doesn't venture away from that because he's okay being coached. He's okay doing those. Now he'll come in. It's like last night, he calls me at 11:45, hey coach, can you see if we can get the gym open? Like, yeah, sure, man. Sorry, did I wake you up? Like, no, I'm good. I'm great. 2 kids. So, man, we're good. But, that's it. And I mean, you love that mentality as a coach. You feel like you're accomplishing a lot. And, when he sets that standard for everybody, like, don't go out here and work on a step back as a guard. Hey, be a Sidney Curry. You know what? Do what you do well. If our best player's doing those things, then that's what you should do as a guard. That's what you should do as a forward. And he really does a good job of setting that standard for our whole program.
Yeah. I mean, the guys that are interested in the right stuff, the guys that, they don't care about the hype. They don't care about whatever. Chris Payton over there at Indian Hills is very similar. That same attitude of just, hey, I'm going to go do my thing and I'm going to go work hard. And
I mean, sorry to interrupt, Brandon, but you got to give Hank a lot of credit because Coach Clancy is familiar with Chris and his situation. And, Hank has done an unbelievable job with Chris Payton and getting him to buy in to be the player that he is.
Right. Yeah.
I've been impressed. And we scrimmaged, and I even said something to Chris after the game, said, hey, man, I'm proud of you because, where you're at now is extremely impressive.
How many guys like Chris are willing to buy into that role of being that like power forward, like how many guys say, Coach, I'm a 2-3 when they're his size. And it's like,
no, and you're right, Brandon, and it's a credit to Chris, and it's a credit, like I said, no different than Sydney. They do what they do well, and they stick with it, and they listen, and they're coached, and they're not trying to step out there and, convince somebody there's something they're not.
Right.
You see so much of that with guys that could be really good players that, no, I want to be a point guard, or I want to be a big wing, or, just listen and be coached and play hard. And
I'm guessing Sydney hasn't come up to you this year and said, Coach, I got to get 4 threes up a game. I got to get 4 because that's what the league's looking for, Coach. So I got to get 4 threes up a game. I bet he didn't ask.
Not had that conversation yet. No, you're right.
I hope I didn't just put it on
your
head. Sydney, if you're listening to this, don't ask that question. Okay. Let's switch gears real quick over to Jamarian. We've talked a lot about him, and he's just it like Sydney in a different way, physically something that you just don't ever see. Well, no, you do in the NBA. There's a few of those guys running around, but another kid that you and I talked about extensively this summer with his humbleness, and I feel like he's one of those kinds of kids where when somebody really starts talking a lot about him and starts creating this hype, like he kind of looks the other way a little bit, and I know how much work he's put in, just because when you send me videos or pictures or whatever, and like every week it's something different, it's something better. He's physically bigger, he's in the weight room, he's putting on weight, for a body type that is really hard to do that. Yeah. And talk a little bit about kind of where he started when he got to John A. Logan and kind of where he's at now.
He's a kid that averaged 7 points a game in high school and 7, but he's 7 feet in high school, 7'1". He's chasing around a bunch of guards. You could see that, and how you judge how I judge a bigger was taught. And I had some, very good coaches that I'd worked for and got to play for that taught me a lot of things. But, if you can catch the ball and you have good footwork, you can work with that. And that's the one thing that stuck out with Jamarian. His hands are very soft. His footwork is very good. and he runs the floor extremely well. His timing in blocking shots is second to none. It's natural. But his offensive game, his offensive game is really coming around. And he's a young kid. He just turned 19 last month. So, he measured in 7'3", standing reach at 9 feet 6 inches. He's up to 230 plus pounds, 232, I think our last measure, in the weight room. But in the same thing, I think that's really good because here's another guy that can use Jay Scrubb's, being Jay Scrubb's shadow, but yet compete against Sidney Curry every single day. And those guys have no option but to go hard because guess what? Sidney Curry will embarrass you if you don't go hard.
Yeah.
Jamarion Sharp is going to embarrass you if you don't go hard. And so, you take that component and then you got a guard step out on a ball screen against a Mario McKinney or, a Cam Alford or, a Dietrich Reeves. And you got a mix here where these guys can continually get better and not take days off. And Jamarion has gotten much better at that because he is a very much a happy-go-lucky kid and one of the best and biggest hearts of any kid I've ever had in a program. Just wanting everyone to be happy and be successful.
Yeah.
Very selfless. And I think that's an unbelievable trait for now a 19-year-old kid to have and not have his hand out saying, what can you do for me? But, he's come a long way and is very proud and very excited to watch, what he's going to be able to do this upcoming season.
I mean, it's easy to be attracted to 7'2". It's easy to be attracted to 6'8", 260 pounds and jumping around like you're Zion Williamson or something. But I think the thing that really attracted me the most to just, wanting to know more about them, to watch them, to talk to coaches about them and things like that is just, unfortunately we didn't get to have JA this summer. So I didn't get to spend any time with them just one-on-one, but talking to you guys about him. And, there was never a conversation where it was like, you won't believe what he did today. You won't, can't believe what this kid said. Like, we're close enough that when kids have problems or whatever, we talk about them because it's important in the recruiting process and stuff. Mm-hmm. And like these two guys, just the absolute humbleness, you don't see them out on social media. You don't see them talking about themselves and things like that. And you see that and instantly you just kind of have that light that goes on that goes, those kids have a chance. Most of those guys absolutely have a chance to, and we talk about the NBA on here because you just had a kid drafted straight into the flipping NBA, but we also know that at the end of the day, the NBA is not going to be the end game for 99.999% of kids. But these two guys, because of what they have physically, and then the fact that they are who they are, they got a chance. And that's pretty special to have your front court. You look at it and, there's going to be some NBA scouts in the gym this year that are going to look at each other and go, they got both these guys on the floor.
We honestly,
don't have guys that look like that.
and honestly, Brandon, our guys are very, very lucky. We got a great administration, a great AD, and even more importantly, I got a great staff. I'm very fortunate. I mean, John, what a great addition. How lucky is that? My brother Tyler's, done an unbelievable job. Coach Jones, Charlie's been with us for, been with me since day one, and Marcus Walker, but who's done an outstanding job with the guys. Like, it's funny.
I forgot Marcus was up there.
Yeah, you get a call. It's funny. I get a call from Coach Self last week. Week before, and he's complimenting my staff. He's like, my goodness. He said, Kyle, for a junior college, he goes for your guys and what they do and what they, how they help these kids. And I told him, I'm spoiled. I'm very lucky to have a great staff around me that are great people and, are concerned with the well-being of these kids. And it shows. And that's, like I said, the Jamarion and Sydney are extremely lucky because I think that's visually seen when these kids come in here to Johnny Logan and see how much people care because, these guys are in the gym with them. They're in study tables. They're in all these things to help them in their future. And, that's been really what our success has been about was just these adults helping these young men grow and thrive, for the future.
Absolutely. Well, it's a testament to you guys, to the work that you've done there, with them on the court and things like that, but absolutely a testament to recruiting guys that, just get it mentally, because it would be so easy to go sideways. When you have those kinds of physical gifts, when you have kind of that future in front of you, like if you don't get the right kind of kid, that has those gifts. I mean, we see it all the time. How many kids do we see that we're just like, oh my God, can you believe how good this kid is? And he has zero chance of making it. And it would be so easy to do. So, the real testament to recruiting the right kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking about that, we'll go to Coach Clancy next and just tell a little bit about your story and just we're kind of in this JUCO appreciation month, right? You've been at different levels. You've been at Division I level. So talk a little bit about why you love JUCO and then Coach Smithpeters. I know you've won 194 games to 64 losses, I believe, in 7 or 8 years. I think that may be before, according to bio. So if I'm wrong, you can talk to your people because that's what it says on the bio. But I know you got a big time year last year as well. I've been talking about Jay. Just talk after Coach Clancy goes just about your JUCO experience. I know we talked on the phone some. You were Division I. You've been at that light. That level. But what makes junior college great? So we'll start with Coach Clancy.
My past kind of unique, a little bit different. I was a high school coach in Chicagoland area, and then went right from high school to getting an opportunity at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. Was very fortunate to be there for 4 years, and then the job market changes. The business can be rough sometimes. Didn't have a lot going on. Got some interviews at the Division I level, and was fortunate that Steve Christensen, a good friend of mine at Triton Junior College, hired me last year. We had a great year there. Sent 6 guys Division I, finished top 20 in the country. And then I've known Coach Kyle. I had the fortune to coach Tyler Smithpeters, his brother, who's on staff with us, and my roommate, and got to know the family, got to be around his program. Loved everything that Coach Kyle was about and what he was building at Logan. And for me, it was a no-brainer decision when Coach offered me the job. For me, it's been easy. Coach did all the hard work laying the foundation for this. We're kind of reaping the benefits of what were, the early years of recruiting some guys and making John A. Logan not only a powerhouse in the Midwest, but being a contender to win a national championship every single year. And I think when you talk about the blue blood programs, John A. Logan may not have been talked about that, but it's obviously, I think, in the conversation now. I do think we're a top 5 preseason team, and the junior college level is different. Obviously everybody has different aspirations. These kids come in hungry, and there's a different level of hunger that the junior college kids have than maybe some of my kids that I had at SIU at a Division I level. But, the big time thing about here at Logan is Coach Kyle treats it like a Division I program. He prepares these guys for the next level as good as anybody in the country does. And I think that's why guys leave here with the tools to be successful, not only at their next stop, but then ultimately there's guys playing overseas now. And Coach gets these guys to go to the right levels and the right fits for them. And he develops them. He develops them as people. He develops them as players. And I think you see why guys come in maybe as low to mid kids that like a Sidney Curry or a Jamarion Sharp that are leaving as high major dudes because of the standard that's set here and the foundation that he has set here.
Well, I will say this, Coach Clancy's a little modest and saying, the one thing that impressed me, I was very fortunate to be at Logan in my career and watch all my brothers, and, Tyler enjoy his career at SIU being 6 miles away. But, the big thing with Coach Clancy that stuck out was just how genuine he was in coaching and dealing with, not just my brother, but all of his guys over at, SIU. So I had a very good cheat sheet in watching him as a coach and just seeing how much, TLCs you would say that he put into his guys, and he cared for the right reasons and helping them through tough situations. And, like I say all the time, it's one thing to be a coach when things are good with a player, but how do you handle it when things aren't going well? How do you handle a guy and get him out of the trenches? And, John did such a good job, I thought, just watching even with Tyler and his teammates at Southern. So, kudos to him. And like I said, we're just fortunate to have him and guys like him here. So, but, to go back to answering what you were talking about, in my career and here at John A., I think it's very important to be somewhere that what you're doing is important. You want to be challenged, but I also think, in my career, I was very fortunate to be here at John A. Logan as an assistant. before and get to know teachers and administrators, and obviously it saw what this place could possibly be. And going to, and one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make was leaving Missouri State as an assistant at 28, 29 years old and coming back to John A. But, it was not just the welcoming part, but just the hunger of knowing that this thing could be special. We could get a lot of really good kids that are going some other places. And I mean, you're 28, 29 years old, not many head coaching jobs just thrown in your lap, especially a place you're familiar with and comfortable with. And, that's really what has propelled me in the junior college realm. And honestly, like, I really enjoy it. You can help a lot of kids that need help. It's very gratifying at this level. And, guys like Brandon and, Brendan Walker, guys like, they really truly care about these kids and trying to help them and guide them and give them direction. And that's what a lot of these kids just kind of need, is just that little bit more of direction. And that's really what you get as a junior college coach, in my opinion. I'm not saying you don't get that at the Division I level, but I think here with the resources you have, the type of engagements you have to have, it's a little different. And it's very rewarding seeing these guys that maybe have been checked off the list or not given that, or given that second chance, right, respond and be productive and be, not just great citizens, great ball players and everything else. So that's the part that I truly enjoy and have really grown fond of in the junior college game. And it's, like I said, I'm in a great spot. It's hard to get away when you're happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys coming on today. We're praying and hoping that the JUCO season happens in January. Congratulations again on the amazing success you guys have had. I think Coach Clancy put it best. I mean, when I was coaching in junior college at Midland and Parrish, Johnny Logan was not quite at the same level that it's at now. But to be considered in that conversation of blue bloods for junior college is a credit to what you've done there, Coach Kyle. Coach Peters, what you've done there. And Coach Clancy, I know you're adding a lot to it with what you're doing behind the scenes with this new group and bringing your experience. So looking forward to seeing what you guys continue to do. Congrats on your guys committing and signing early, and along with getting a draft pick. It's still unbelievable to think about. In 2020, we have an NBA draft pick from John A. Logan. So credit to you guys.
We appreciate you and everything you guys do for junior college basketball. It's big time. Please subscribe. Please follow. These guys are good dudes and they're in it for the right reasons.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you guys both. And hey, Brandon, I was going to tell you just another JUCO thing. One of our guys, not to toot our own horn, but Aaron Adewi, who played for us, went to SEMO. He active roster on Wednesday for the Baltimore Ravens as a DN. So
wow, here we go.
Got one in the NFL, man.
NBA, I love it.
Fantastic.
I had to throw that in there.
Awesome.
Thanks, fellas.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, be good.
Same to you.
BG, what do you think, man? Done it again.
John A. Logan, NBA, Jaden Scrub.
Who knew? Talk a little bit about Scrub real quick. I know you obviously had J48, and you kind of are in the trenches with these guys and have a great feel and communication with the next level guys. And just talk about him specifically. Did you kind of know that he was going to be an NBA guy? Were you surprised? Was it a moment where you're like, this guy really has a chance?
I think the thing that he always had going for him was his athleticism, right? Like what he does off the bounce, you can't teach. And so I went and saw him at the USA U19 tryouts in the Springs there at the Olympic Training Center. And so there was a moment, he didn't have his best week, and so he ended up not making the team. But there were moments, right? Like there was a moment that I just happened to catch on film. I'm literally like laying under the hoop with my GoPro, like trying to catch something cool. and he takes off the bounce, splits. If I remember right, I think he split the defense. Two guys kind of crash. He pops between them, and Evan Mobley comes to help, and Scrub put him on a poster, and like gross. And that was probably like the best like thing that he did that week. but it was this instantaneous flash of like, there's not a lot of other guys in the world that can do what he just did right there. And so, with that kind of athleticism, you kind of knew if he put in the work, if he, bought into the things that people were trying to teach him and all that sort of stuff, he was going to have a chance, because to be at that level, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, there better be something that you do that's elite. Like, we made jokes sometimes about some of the guys that we see in the NBA, about just anybody that's maybe not a household name, right? How is this guy in the NBA? I guarantee you, if you take that guy in the NBA and you put him up against anybody else, there's probably something that he does at an elite level that you just don't see, because he's doing it against a bunch of other of the best, 0.001% of players in the world, right? Those guys that everybody always liked to joke about Brian Scalabrine, right? He was a JUCO guy from the NWAC. And, I was Scalabrine in the league for like 13 years or something. It's just a big guy, and he just kind of moves around and he does stuff. Brian Scalabrine can hoop, like hoop. He will bust your butt unless you are in the, a starter in the NBA or something. The difference between Brian Scalabrine and a guy that started for, 13 years in his career or something like that is minuscule. It's nothing. And, what Brian stayed in the league with was know his role and do what he was told. And when he came into the game, he was always fully prepared and all that sort of stuff. But Brian does a bunch of elite stuff. Right. So with Jay, he has elite athleticism, and they're going to clean up jumper stuff, and they're going to spend a lot of time with him. You get to practice basketball for 6 hours a day when you're a pro, like that. People kind of forget sometimes just how much you can develop when you get to that next level. And you actually now, like, that's your job, and at 6 hours a day of practice, you become a lot better at stuff, even stuff that maybe you've never done before.
In no school, and you're working with the best of the best, and you have nothing but time, and you have millions to be able to continue to get the best of the best training and best of the best access. So
do what you do well, listen, know your role, and then start adding those pieces and working on those things. Robin Lopez maybe didn't shoot a 3 when he was at Stanford, right? He didn't shoot a 3 for the first 5 years in the NBA.
Right.
And then they were like, hey, dog, if you want to stay in the NBA, like, you need to start shooting.
Well, same with guys like PJ Tucker, right? Like 5 years old. He played the 5 essentially at Texas, so 4 and 5, and was player of the year. But in order to evolve to the NBA, he didn't come in shooting threes. That's something he added to his game later. And it's about being a specialist at that level, because like Coach Smithpeters said, they're worried about all the other stuff, because you're not a walk-on in the NBA, but you have to have the same type of mentality of there may be 20 games you never get in. And you have to be great and be a professional and handle yourself the right way and represent the organization the right way, because there's, like you said, it's $1 billion industry. So, you're playing a specific role, and a guy like that you're talking about is able to fit into that role and be able to eventually evolve other parts of his game. But you come in as a specialist, whatever that is: defensive stopper, 3-and-D, a shooter, rim protector, whatever it may be. You come in as a specialist, and then the rest comes after that.
Kids hate that term 3-and-D. They're like, I do all these other, my handles are sick. I can break anybody down or whatever. I'm like, you don't want to go make $15 million a year being a 3-and-D guy. Danny Green was not a great shooter.
Right.
Before. Now, like, he's a sniper. You know why Danny Green gets paid $15 million a year and won a championship with the Lakers? He was like, oh crap, I should probably become a really good shooter and play defense really hard.
Won a championship with the Lakers, won a championship with the Spurs, won a championship with the Toronto Raptors. So speaking of three-point shooters, speaking of NBA guys, Utah State recently had a draft pick, Sam Merrill, who I had the pleasure
last pick of the draft.
displeasure of coaching against, but he made it. He made it. And
yes, he did.
What an incredible story. We have assistant coach David Ragland, who used to also be a JUCO head coach at Vincennes. We have him coming on next after a quick commercial break, and we'll bring him in, and you will love what you have to hear from him.
Welcome to All Access Coaches Corner, where our mission is to serve coaches, share their stories, and spotlight their programs with our host, Brian Burton. A longtime successful college basketball coach, former championship collegiate point guard, husband, and father, Brian is now the Vice President of Rising Coaches Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Alliance for men's basketball, an empowerment coach and founder of B3 Legacy Sports and the All Access Network. Sports broadcaster and host for All Access Coaches Corner and All Access Sports Media, Coach Burton is now using his successes, experiences, and connections to be a point guard in the sports industry at all levels, with a mission to help others to further their success. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and join us in the All Access Coaches Corner.
Hey, Rag, what up?
What's going on? How's it going?
Go.
Good, man. Good. Working to be like you when I grow up.
No,
man.
don't do that. You be backtracking.
So we just talked about Sam Merrill, man. Talk about him a little bit. When we coached against him at Fresno when I was there, he was not physically fit to be an NBA player. He did have some game, but never did I ever think he was going to be a guy that got drafted. And never did I think he'd be player of the year in the league, you know. So credit to you guys. Obviously, the staff before did a good job recruiting him and developing him to that point, but credit to you guys to help him get to the next level. So talk a little bit about him before we go straight to JUCO.
Yeah, I mean, that's the number one thing. I think is a big credit to the last staff that they did a really good job of recruiting really good people. We came into a situation where, I mean, the guys that we inherited were receptive to us. They were more than willing to take on our coaching style, philosophy, and the biggest goal that they had every single day was to be better than they were yesterday. And Sam, I mean, he was a pro's pro before he became, before he got drafted, and he just brought it every single day. Just one of the most consistent guys I've ever been around, and really, credit him, like he completely changed his body. Like his body when we came into it to where he is now. I mean, he was here a few weeks ago, and he looks phenomenal. Like he looks ready to take on the world pretty much. But just a natural leader. Like he never forced his leadership, but he also brought it every single day. Consistent in practice. Challenging his teammates, bringing it himself, and just basketball wise, like. He can dribble pass, he can shoot. And then he is sneaky defensively. Like he is really, really good defensively. And that was probably the part that, shocked me, but he took a lot of pride in it, took a lot of pride in film study. He always knew the other team, like the opponents that we were playing. He knew who he was guarding, his matchup. And, he just brought it every single day. So he really deserves to be where he's at. He deserves the opportunity, and we wish you well. I think he's going to be very successful at that level.
Coach, you guys are, dabbling in the JUCO space, and, you coming from a JUCO background like that, what are some things that, you kind of bring to the staff? And when you guys sit down and look at JUCO players, you talk about, what you see with some of these kids that you're looking at in junior college, and how your experience has kind of helped you evaluate those guys. Yeah.
Well, I would say a lot of what you guys were talking about before with the guys at John and Logan, you just look at intangibles. What are some things that you bring to the table that impact winning? Are you a good teammate? Do you think the game? Do you play hard every single day? Are you coachable? Do you come to practice and perform at your highest level? Just are you really you consistent? So that's what we look for. And just being able to have myself and Coach Peterson have been junior college head coaches and been in the junior college scene for a long time. So having those relationships, cultivating those relationships, not, cold calling somebody and, hey, this is Coach so-and-so, and not how can you me all the time kind of relationship also works for us. But really what we're looking for is just, team guys, guys that are going to, do what it takes to help your team win, and kind of put the team over themselves. I think every coach or every player that I've coached has done that, to where they put the team first and they ultimately become successful because of it. I think of every pro that I've had the opportunity of coaching, that's been the approach: is how can I help my teammates? How can I play well for my coaches and how they want me to? And then on the back end, the success of us winning games and them, continue to grow their game ends up getting them a pro career.
Right. Yeah. And that's, it's not unique to junior college by any means, but I think,
Right.
You guys, well, when I talk to PD about like international guys and stuff,
Right.
and
For sure.
what he learned as a junior college coach, is translating to how he evaluates international guys, right? Like
For sure.
there's talent everywhere, right? There's talent all over the flipping map. But what is harder to find is those kids that really buy into what you're doing, that, are willing and capable of dealing with adversity, and all that kind of stuff. And when you come from a junior college environment, like, there's a lot of adversity, for lots of different reasons for these kids. And, having a sense of who's able to deal with that kind of stuff. Yeah. And, maybe they're not the most talented, but because of who they are, Sam is a perfect example, right? Like that. Yeah. Sam is going to get a shot at the NBA because he's talented for sure. But Sam is really going to get a shot at the NBA because of who he is.
Yeah,
and
for sure. And I think that's one thing too, is just not losing your focus. Like I think a lot of times, and you just hit it on the head, like you're going to face adversity. That's all part of life. Whether it be playing time, whether it be, you think you're better. You were talking in the last segment, some players think that they're threes when they're really fours, and who puts a number on positions, but who's getting caught up in certain things that really don't matter. If your end goal is for you to be successful, well, sometimes your path goes in different directions in order for you to be the best that you can be. And being able to adjust to those, obstacles and view them as opportunities. That's how you become a pro. That's how, pros are people who are consistent every single day.
Right.
And, if you can be consistent regardless of the variables, then that's how you're able to be a pro, and not just be a pro, but be a successful one.
Yeah, so, you have to be counted on every day if you're going to be a pro.
Absolutely.
I think that's where a lot of mistakes get made in recruiting junior college players, is the attention that gets put on talent.
Right.
You have to, but
for sure,
in comparison to the other things, the equation's not where it should be. There's a lot of attention that's put on, what can you do in these game situations? What can you do physically? What can you do? Whatever. And some of the best junior college players that are successful have talent, maybe weren't the most talented, but have the mental makeup for it. There's really not a ton of Chris Duarte's that come through where you've got both, right? Like Chris Duarte was the most talented guy in junior college, and he's a fantastic kid, and he works really hard, and everything else. There's this equation game, and unfortunately, I think a lot of times like talent supersedes all the other stuff so drastically that then sometimes when that kid fails, like, wow, how is this possible? He was the most talented guy on the floor.
For sure.
It was like, well,
yeah. And, at the end of the day, like it's all about our growth. Like you go through your own journey to grow. And sometimes guys have to take a path of junior college and one thing that's been frustrating to me, and this is early whenever I got in Division I, was like the stigma of junior college guys. Like, they're a bad kid, or they're this and they're that. No, like their journey was for them to go to junior college, whether it be because of, not having opportunities. Maybe they didn't play AAU. Maybe some things went on. Maybe they had 4 different high school coaches because there was no stability at their high school. Like there's different reasons for, people taking their journey. But, if that individual realizes that I'm on this journey in order to grow, and whatever this coach tells me that I need to improve upon, as long as it's coming from a good place, because right. I think sometimes I think as coaches, we forget, kind of the, I would say the responsibility that we have, for young people. And that's to be mentors. That's to be, kind of, I don't know, some people call it the big brother, some people call it the father, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, it's to be a mentor and to help them grow as men. But we get to use, basketball as a tool in order to do that.
Right.
So get through and impact young men more than, maybe their teachers, more than maybe even family members, just because we're connected in a way where we almost have a hold on something that they value greater than anything else.
Right.
And if we use that in a positive way and grow these men to be, these young men to be men, then that's like where the connection and the home run comes from. Right. Is, the young man seeing, all right, I'm on this journey for a reason. And the coach being able to realize it's not about the wins and losses, it's about helping this young man grow. Like, so
that's the best part of this whole thing, whether it's as a coach on your side or even the stuff that I get to do. The best part about this is when you get to have a conversation with some of these kids, and it's not about their jump shot, right? Like it's about what else is going on in their life. It's what's going on with their family. It's whatever. Like when I talk to Gideon, it's never about basketball. Like, I am not in a position to critique Gideon's basketball. Like he's got a pretty good staff he plays for, I think. So, I let them take care of that part. But I just love talking to him. I love talking to Sardar Calhoun, before his game, just not about like, what are you going to do tonight? Like, just talk.
That, and that's the thing. Like, and that right there means more to those young men than anything else. Like, I mean, you guys know it, B. I know you've been through it, man. Like, just having those moments when you're just hanging out with a player in your office and talking about family or talking about interests outside of basketball, or have them to the house for dinner. Those are the moments when you really cultivate a real relationship with them. And a real relationship is built on trust, and you build that trust by putting some quality time into, someone. And then, B, like BG, like if you're talking about Gideon or whoever, if you see something in one of their games and you're like, hey man, your body language wasn't right, he's going to really respond to that because you put the time in and you valued you guys' relationship to where it's like, okay, this come from somebody who really like respects me, trusts me, and I really respect and trust. So I'm going to really take in what they're saying. Like they're not trying to be critical. They want to see me be my very best. And those are.
You spoke on this. When you can help a player in basketball, that's what they love more than anything, right? If you can help them there, then it opens a door where now you can invest in them in other ways, right? Now you can invest in them in managing their life off the floor. Now you can invest in them in helping them with their character, helping them with their academics, because the basketball is that orange ball is what motivates them. So when you get better than that, like people were talking about Steve Nash, well, he's never coached. Why does he get to coach? At the end of the day, Kevin Durant, Kyrie will respect
for sure
because he can help them get better at their craft. He's a 2-time MVP in the league. And then the rest of it, because of the character of who Steve Nash is, he's going to care about them as people, which he worked with Golden State. He worked with Durant already. That's a part of the reason why Durant probably wanted him in that role. Let's be honest. So it's way bigger than just the opportunity. What you can do with the orange ball is way bigger than just basketball. And I love that part about who you are, Coach Rag. And so talk about as a head coach, Vincent, talk about your JUCO experience. We know you're at Utah State now. You've been to Bowling Green, Valpo, you name it. You've been a number of stops Division I, and you're at a phenomenal stop now. 2-time champion. We've been in the NCAA tournament again this last year. Coach Smith does a great job. Coach Peter and everybody there. Got a great staff. Talk about the JUCO road, because that has to do with where you are now, and you had success there. Multiple seasons in your 2 years as the head coach. Talk about your time at Vincennes, one of the other blue bloods in junior college. So it's not easy to get those jobs either.
No, it's not. I've been on an unbelievable journey. I've truly been blessed to work with really good players, really good people. I mean, you talk about the staff that I'm with now. Like, we got guys that Eric Peterson's been a head coach and been Division I for numerous years, and Austin Hansen's been in Division I for a very long time. Coach Smith is one of the best basketball minds I've been around, and you talk about his energy and what he's done for a place like Utah State in our 2 years here, and now going on number 3. Just every day I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm getting better. But throughout the journey all the way up here, man, it's been a wonderful ride. And, it all started from junior college. I got to credit Lou Godino, who's at Wichita State. He gave me my first opportunity at Frank Phillips. And I remember talking to my parents and my then at the time, my girlfriend and my now wife. It was 2 weeks. I'm like, look, I'm going out to Borger, Texas, and going to Frank Phillips. They're like, first off, what is Borger, Texas, and what is Frank Phillips? I'm like, I really don't know, but I'm going to go out there and coach some basketball. So, they were looking at me crazy. And, Lou was big time, man. He gave me an opportunity, and he let me run. Like, he let me, work out the guys. I was up, 7 in the morning and working out guys, guards, bigs, whatever. Doing scouting reports, getting on the road, doing some recruiting. May have drove a bus or two to games. But I mean, I just both feet in from the very beginning on every aspect of it. And shoot, at the time, I was probably 23. I remember we had a couple guys on the team that were actually 2 guys that were kind of my classmates. We were from Evansville, so we were the same age. And we had one dude from overseas that was 25 that was older than me. And I'm sitting there like, these guys, But, Lou was great in that aspect. And those guys were wonderful to be able to let us coach them, and end up having a good season. We were 25-5, a couple All-Americans, and then left from there and went to, Coach Godino got the assistant coach job at Louisiana Tech. And so linked up with Everett Sullivan. Everett is a great guy, man, like wonderful person, really good coach, but better person. He's at Lenore Ryan as the head coach now. But that dude, man, he just the same. He just gave me free reign to just, go in full attack mode with our players and recruiting, and, just gave me an unbelievable opportunity at Vincennes. And I was his assistant for 3 years, and we went to a couple national tournaments out in Hutch. And then he left and became an assistant at Eastern Kentucky. And when he did, I owe a lot to the president at the time, the provost, AD. They were sold on, me taking over as a head coach there. And at the time, it was funny because Butler was kind of in the same trend of moving up assistants, Purdue moving up assistants, Southern Illinois moving up assistants. So it was like all in that area that probably impacted me greatly. And I had, I knew guys on those staffs, but, not really having a huge connection with it. But I thought in every way possible before getting that job, I was ready for it. And I found out that it was I'm young, at that time I probably would have been 27. And I'm like, we'll play anybody, anywhere, and just gung ho about everything. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, and I know Kyle Smithpeters was talking about it before. Man, I was truly blessed to have a great staff. Brian Davis is still there, and I mean that dude's been stable at Vincennes for some years, and he's done a phenomenal job with the recruiting. He went to school there, so he's passionate about the program. And then Eric Murphy was one of my assistants as well, and he's at Florida Southwestern just killing it. That goes to show too, you're only as good as your assistants, and he was behind the scenes just straight killing it. But man, so proud of him. And actually his assistant Kente Hart was with us as well, and he did a phenomenal job, spending a lot of time with our players and keeping them focused, and just working hard and committed to each other. But I loved it, man. I did 2 years as a head coach, and Lou Godino got back in the picture. He was associate head coach at Indiana State when Greg Lanson took over, and asked me if I wanted to come and join the staff. And it worked out well. I had a relationship with those guys, and now been on this journey for a while. But I love junior college, man. I do want to say, for every junior college guy on the call listening, or maybe you listen to it later or whatever, like I know how it is. Like I remember being 23, 24, 25, 27, all that stuff. Like, man, I want to get D1. I want to get D1. Like, I remember talking to just different people, whether it was Chris Lowry or Crutchfield, or just a number of guys, like, excuse me, asking them, how can I get to your level? And Lou was the best at this. Like, keep your head where your feet are at. Like, really, really appreciate where you're at, what you're doing. God has you where you're at for a reason. And I think about the relationships now that I still have with those guys that I coach at Vincennes, and that I coached at, excuse me, at Frank Phillips, and to watch them grow as men, and to get, not only a 2-year degree, but a 4-year degree. And now, some are correctional workers, and, some are in the business, field, and everybody's doing something different. I know Dodie Dunston's coaching college basketball, but just the impact that we were able to make on those young men and where they're at now. Like, I love junior college. I do miss it. Like, I love where I'm at right now, don't get me wrong, but I do appreciate my time in junior college. So guys, enjoy it, ride that ride, and bless the people you're supposed to be blessing, because it is it's a crazy journey, and a lot of young people wouldn't make it to their journey and make it to where they're supposed to be and who they're created to be without the impact that BG you make on people, Brian, that you make on people, that I've been able to make on people, that Lou did, that, so on and so forth. So that's just my spiel there, man. Enjoy where you're at.
Well, I think there's people have to understand there's no formula to the moving part, because I think a lot of people see, somebody get a job and they instantly go, how did they, whatever, they did this and they did that. Okay, that must be the way to do it. And it's like, there's no formula to it. No. I think the best thing that you can really do and treat it as a process as opposed to this sprint, right? But really, really focus on those real relationships. You rattled off some names there that are guys that I know really well as well, and just how strong of relationship type people they are. And that those are guys that, that this business is funny. The circles that it creates, and that you're working with somebody and then you're not. And then sure enough, you're working with them again later, or somebody gets an opportunity, you get an opportunity as a head coach. And maybe there's somebody that you worked with before that you haven't worked with in 10 years that now, you're hiring, because at the time you guys were both focused on that relationship and you were investing in it. And, if you really want to just take out the personal gratification of a good friendship and a good relationship, take that out and look at it strictly from a business standpoint. Every time you don't spend real meaningful time investing in that relationship, why do you expect it to pay off later?
Absolutely.
That's not how investing works.
Exactly.
You know, it's you really, like you said, have your head where your feet are, because you never know when that relationship that you're investing in is going to pay off. And so many guys are just, you know, gung ho, like, okay, next job. And they're like the guy just, you know, with his pickaxe, just picking right through the damn thing, thinking that that's how they get to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
And it's really not. It's,
And
you know,
and the crazy thing about it, man, like you're always being watched. You know, like I think about, I remember this story, and I told Ron Norad, he's now an assistant in the NBA with the Hornets. But I had the pleasure of working with him at Northern Kentucky when I worked for John Brennan. And I remember going to not a junior college, but an AAU tournament. And this dude had just got done playing, like he played at Butler. They went to, you know, back-to-back title games. And it was maybe a year or two after. I don't even know if it was that short, but he's coaching this team. And it was a team, I forget the name, but he's coaching his team, and he is coaching his tail off. Like, high energy, flying around, like, and these dudes are in games where you're looking at the other team and you're looking at them, you're like, them dudes ain't supposed to be in this game. But like, his energy was just so high. I wrote in my notepad, like if I'm ever a head coach, I would hire that dude. And it's funny how, you know, it was probably 3 or 4 years later, maybe a little bit longer, but you know, then John Brennan was like, you know, we're talking, and he had hired me, and he's like, Rags, I think you're going to be excited about these other guys that I bring on staff. I was like, Coach, hey, whatever, man. Like, you tell me where to be, like who I'm working with, let's do it. And he's like, you know, one of them is Ron Nora. And I'm like, Coach, that's crazy that you say that, because like 4 or 5 years ago, I wrote in a notepad, I would love to work with this dude. And so I'm saying all that to say, you know, he was in his moment. He wasn't thinking about, you know, being with the Boston Celtics, which he ended up doing, or being at Northern Kentucky, or being a G League head coach, or being at you know, with the Hornets as an assistant. He was saying about the team he was coaching at that time and giving them everything that he had. And like, I saw that, John Brennan saw that, probably Brad. I don't know who else saw that, but I know people like that. Dude is a made man, deservingly so, because he's an everyday dude. He brings great energy. He did that at Northern Kentucky. We were 9-20. We went on a 10-game losing streak, and every single day in practice, that dude was high energy. Like, are we like playing for the national championship? And it was just great to see that. But I would say, even with that, man, like being in a situation like that, I've been fortunate to be on teams, you know, where we've won 20 plus games, we won championships, cut down nets, like do what all us coaches talk about doing. And one of the best moments of my career, 17 years, like I think about it, like I'm getting old, even though I look like it maybe. Secondly, like one of the best years was at Northern Kentucky, where we only won 9 games. Like, all we had was each other. And every single day we came into practice and we gave each other everything we had. And the guys came in, they wanted to get better every day. They came in and wanted to watch film. Like, it was all about improving and being our very best. And it may not turn into the wins, but at the end of the year, we were a lot better than we were at the beginning. And again, it goes back to just being in your moment. Like, guys that are on the call that are listening, your time is coming when it's ready. Like,
right.
If you're not in your moment and taking advantage and, you know, being all in on the guys that you're working for, with, whatever, then it's you're just going through the motion, and it's not going to happen. You're just going to be unhappy.
Right. Yeah. Comparison is a thief of joy, right? Like we all around and think like, man, I should be here, I should be there. And I think we get lost in it. You know what I mean? Just get lost in where you are. Like you said, be great where your feet are is how you be. a multi-champion at Utah State, going in the NCAA tournament and doing the things that you're doing now, Coach. But we want to thank you for coming on, man. Salute everything you're doing.
Appreciate
Love
it.
you made the time today for us to show some JUCO love and keep up the
No
great
doubt.
there, man.
Yeah. Hey, you can't forget who you are. Like I'm a JUCO Johnny to heart. Like I love everything about it. No, but I appreciate you guys, man. You guys doing a great job. So anybody out there, like, follow these guys, like listen to them, use them as a resource, and anything I can do for you guys, let me know. And feel free to pass out my information. That's one thing that I want to be able to do is it's at the end of the day, man, we're all here to help others out. So if I can, help others and be a resource to others, I love to be able to do that. So, I know some guys do reach out randomly. I don't mind it. I love it. So you guys keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate you, and talk soon.
Appreciate you,
buddy. Be good.
Sir.
Another great one, man. Another great one. Really successful at the Division I level. Been a lot of stops, like you said. Was a successful Division I, JUCO head coach at Vincennes, one of the better programs in the country. Again, just love hearing the behind the scenes of those JUCO stories, man. And we could do this all day. We do have a Hall of Famer coming next, who is now a head coach at the NCAA level. Just recently inducted into the JUCO Hall of Fame at his school that he worked at. Can't say enough words to introduce this next coach. He's impacted so many lives at the junior college level, from the coaches that he's had in his coaching tree to the players that he's coached. Has coached at the highest level, Division I, as well, and now he's leading the program and making history at his alma mater. So we'll bring him on next after this quick commercial.
Thank you for joining us for the All Access Coaches Corner podcast. We are so excited to continue serving coaches, sharing their stories, and spotlighting their programs. Stay connected as we bring you more special guests and more real conversations covering all aspects of the game. You can find our show on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you like to get your podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at allaccess_CC. Subscribe to the All Access Network YouTube channel and join us in the All Access Coaches Corner.
Coach Estelle, I think you're on mute. How you doing, man? Welcome.
Man, what an honor and privilege, man. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but I tell you what, you guys must be hurting for, speakers.
Not at all. Not at all. I know better. We wanted to make sure we've got a lot of the young guns on here. We've got a lot of the current Division I assistants, but we wanted to make sure we gave love to a Hall of Famer and to one of the guys who's really paved the way. I know there's guys that paved the way for you as well, but wanted to get one of the real JUCO legends. In my own mind, I'm biased. I can say that.
Coach, I think he just called you old.
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering, man. I'm only 47 years old, Brian. I mean.
Seasoned.
Oh, okay, all right.
Experienced.
Exactly. Thank you. Now, thank you, Brian. I appreciate you correcting.
Yeah.
Brian, sometimes I've known him since he basically started, and it's always a joy to see him do very well. And anytime I have opportunity to help anybody in junior college or people that I've seen that have I've seen work their way up and do it the right way, man, it's a great opportunity because that's what people have done for me.
Absolutely. We got a comment already, Coach.
Wow.
The GOAT from Lester Stewart.
Les, that's my guy, man. I love Les, man. Les is a good guy. I met him on the Be Ready family, and boy, I tell you what, he's got a great future in front of him. When you get to this point, I was in his shoes. I was as a young coach, and you were trying to get to know all the guys and that were you respected in the business and how they did it. They would pour into you at events, and you would sit down and talk with them, and you looked up to those guys, and you want to emulate them and always make them proud. And as you get older, you become, not say in their status, but you become that old uncle type guy to some guys. And then ultimately what I want to be is a father figure to somebody, but that's a few more years down the road. So I got a lot of young guys that I learned from as well, as much as I touched them. So yeah, Lester is one of the best.
Now you did say old uncle. Now you kind of get
Yes.
back to the lane I was saying. I was saying season, see?
Okay, all right. Well, you didn't say uncle. You just said legend. You know, most legends are dead. I just want to let you know that.
Living legend, man. Living legend. Hey, if you're in the Hall of Fame, you got to be able to say that's legendary status. So talk about, we'll get into Navarro in a second, but just talk about what it meant to be honored to be in the Hall of Fame at Navarro College.
Well, I mean, if anybody knows anything about me, I got inducted, but when I go, everybody's going with me. It's a culmination of just a lot of people. You always have to start with your home and your family. And I had two of the best parents in the world that set the foundation for me and my sister coming up of what hard work is and how to be loyal and, what your reputation means. And all that kind of helps you in life, or does help you in life, and it translates into your professional life. So you cannot do anything without God first and then a family at home. But it's all those people, my assistant coaches. I mean, Eric Colbert and Legend Wright were the first two guys that actually worked with me there at Navarro that helped me lay the foundation there. And then you can go on from there. And Bilal Batley, he was a protege for me, that we worked, and man, he was unbelievable. He was a professional at 18 and 19 years old. His level of commitment and helping people in those years where we didn't have but 3 scholarships when I first got there in 2000, it's impactful. It's profound. A lot of people don't know, it's 2 different versions of that Navarro story. It was the heavy lifting that was taking place from 2000 to 2008, when Coach Orr retired, and we had to get the program back up to where it was fully funded. When I got there were 3 scholarships, and our president and administration, which is what I'm going to get to next, is you're not winning championships without them. So you go from, what you learn at home to, being able to use that in terms of recruiting your players, because your players are important, the best type of players that fit you and the players that fit what you're trying to do. You have to have a staff that cares about winning and loving people. And I just hit a home run with those 2 guys to start my career off with, and along with Bilal and Brian Crawford and everybody that worked with me there. And then you got to have that faculty and administration. And, I tell people all the time, those people in the cafeteria, those people that are, doing the landscaping, all those people have value. And so when I, give my speech, so to speak, or speak, those people have profound meaning to me. And I made it, it's my name, in the Hall of Fame, but they're going with me, to make a long story short. I said it in a long-winded way, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. Absolutely. You've done a great job there. It's alma mater. Talk about them toward the end.
Okay.
You were an assistant for a long time for an extremely legendary, another living legend who the court was named after, if I'm not mistaken, at Navarro, and Coach Orr. So Coach Orr is also a mentor to people like Buzz Williams, who is now the head coach at Texas A&M, who I know is a close friend of yours. Talk about just your time and that led all the way to being a head coach at Navarro, because you paid a lot of dues, and guys don't want to pay the kind of dues you pay nowadays.
Well, I've told people in different interviews or settings that without God and Coach Orr and my family, there is no Johnny Estelle and my personal family. But Louis Orr is a unique individual. I cannot explain it in words alone. The relationship that we have is so deep. It went beyond the court. When I went there, I knew Coach because I grew up in Waco, Texas, and he would always come to Waco to play McLennan, and I always revered him as a coach and his teams and how he played. But, you really don't know the inside of a person. Yep. And then when I worked with Buzz Williams here at Texas University, Kingsville, I knew his relationship with Coach Orr and how he had impacted him and how much he revered him. So when I had an opportunity to work for him, and it's kind of a unique story because I left here as a GA and went to Northern Pioneer, which is in Arizona, which was the junior college I had played at before I came to Kingsville as a player, and worked with Mark Schlesinger, who happens to be the head coach at New Orleans. I was 25 and he was 24. The job opened up in Navarro. And Sam Walker, the head coach at Texas A&M Commerce, Buzz Williams, and then Corey Cornish, who was the assistant there, who went to Cisco Junior College, all recommended me for the opportunity there. And to learn from a man of that kind of character and have that kind of reputation for a young coach, that's exactly what I was looking for. Because I wanted someone to continue to hone my skills and perfect my skills, and also give me an opportunity to coach. So when I was able to be able to work with Coach, he poured into me and allowed me to develop my skills on the job. And when I say that, and I don't mean this arrogantly, he let me coach games. And people thought that was so unique and weird, but it was so helpful to me. So when I was appointed the head coach in 2008-9, I had coached many games under his supervision, quite naturally, or being on the bench with me. That doesn't happen. That's probably in less than 1%, because no matter what you say about our profession, we always talk about family. We always talk about, sacrifice. But when it comes to coaching, a lot of times people are very egotistical, and they prohibit the people that really work with them to gaining that experience. And he wasn't never like that. He was always pouring into his assistant coaches. And I happen to be the baby of the coaching family. I like to know that. I tell Buzz and them all the time, I got the best to coach in those 8 years. We went through hardships. I mean, we went through, the wreck and losing, 2 players. We went through him having a heart attack. We went through him having cancer, but we went through it together. And that level of commitment and love and respect that we have for one another, I just cannot tell you how that impacted me in my personal life and my professional life. And that's why when I speak to young coaches, I always say, find somebody like that. You need to find somebody that has made mistakes or have been successful, that's sincerely going to tell you the truth. They all say good coaches want to be told the truth, but I think any type of professional that's trying to be the best, they want to know what they need to get better at. And that's what I've had in Coach Orr. And I wish everybody had a Coach Orr.
Yeah, Coach Orr is extremely special. Talk a little bit about, Coach, your time as a head coach at Navarro College. You did some incredible things there. Went to Hutch many times, had several players go on to the next level. Talk a little bit about your time as the head coach at Navarro College, and then how did that help you going to University of Houston as an assistant? How has it helped you now and what you're doing at Kingsville and taking that program championships and NCAA tournaments there?
Well, kind of what I mentioned earlier is just that, it was a great platform there at Navarro College. The resources were there. The people were there. Yep. All we had to do is do our part there. And that was huge there. And what we did there in Navarro, in my opinion, what we called or coined the phrase of the Navarro way, I think you can take that and go anywhere. I think it's a mindset, so to speak. It gives you a compass and a direction that you continuously can use no matter what level. I mean, when I went to Houston, I was a part of a great staff. You can't get better than Coach Dickey as a person and a coach and a man. You can't get no better than one of my mentors, than Alvin Brooks, and Ronnie Hamilton and Matt Reed. One of your guys, Matt Reed. But we had a great staff, but we had guys like Omar Gonzalez, who's my current assistant there, that was helping the program at that time, and a lot of guys in the support roles that we had. I've always been blessed to be around really good, high-level professionals. And I think the time at Navarro gave me as a professional an opportunity to say, this works. There may be a certain type of kid that we say did not recruit, that didn't fit our mold, but we didn't sell ourselves out to win games, because our mission was a lot bigger than just winning games. We happened to win a few games and championships, but our whole mission was to make sure that we gave each kid the opportunity to develop holistically, meaning academically. It means, on the court, basketball wise, spiritually. And then also we want to make sure that they learn social skills, life skills, that once they left us, that they can continue to impact programs positively. And also that later after that, whatever God had in store for them, that they could be good husbands and also be people that can impact society in a positive way. So basically pay it forward, but also cherish the memories that we was able to cherish while we was together.
Yeah, for sure, Coach. Let's talk about Texas A&M Kingsville. We'll circle back with Brandon and let him ask a couple more JUCO questions. Tell the people that don't maybe know about the Division II level, just like we're doing JUCO appreciation, people that don't know about the Division II level. You played there. You were a good player there back in the day. My younger brother is a head coach in the same conference, the Lone Star Conference at Texas A&M Commerce. My wife used to be a volleyball coach at Midwestern State in the conference. I had some time with Joe Golding as an assistant at Abilene Christian before it went Division I in Lone Star. So a lot of great coaches come out of Lone Star. So Grant McCaslin coached at Midwestern State in the Lone Star. Chris coached at Angelo State in the Lone Star. So big time basketball league just expanded to an even bigger league. So just talk a little bit about the conference, Division II, and just Texas A&M Kingsville in general.
Well, first of all, I really like the way that you put that hierarchy together in your family, that, you know, it's your wife who's the best coach, and then Jason second, and you're a distant third. But beyond that, I mean, you know, it takes humility, man, because, you know, a lot of people wouldn't recognize that. But your brother is a very good coach, and he's not going to be at this level very long. But to kind of piggyback on, I kind of want to dig back. I don't know what has happened with how people perceive levels. You know, I've spoken, you know, on different platforms, and I talk to people about, if you have an opportunity to compete and get an education and receive a scholarship, the level doesn't make it. I used to tell our guys at Navarro that same thing. I said, you know, make wherever you are your dream. You know, I mean, and at the end of the day, I think sometimes, you know, even when I was a head coach, I would tell guys, you know, a Division II guy would come in, and we was, you know, blessed to have quite a few guys go Division I, but our whole deal was about the fit. And I made sure that I humbled them a lot about it. If they came in and, you know, thought that they were bigger than whatever level, you never know what level God has or what plan he has in store for you. So you never, you know, act like a big time guy. So at the end of the day, Division II is a hard level to play at. I mean, we have Division I transfers here, and I'm talking about guys not just from low majors. There's SEC level guys. We had a guy last year. This guy was a man. He transferred from Ole Miss. He averaged almost 30 points a game, you know, and there's really good coaches at this level, you know, as you know. There's great coaches at every level. So I wish kids would understand, and parents would understand, that not because I'm a Division II coach, I've always been an advocate of definitely junior college and Division II and Division I, because all levels have purpose. As you know, there's a lot of guys go to junior college, and it's like an afterthought because I guess they perceive it as being junior high, and then they get there and they find out, man, you have to perform every day. You have to compete every day just to have an opportunity. And also, you have to sacrifice every day. So, yeah, we've came here. I got back here after the University of Houston for a year, and, man, you know, to take over my alma mater. And I took over for Pete Peterson. You know, I actually worked for Pete. Pete's a great guy. But we had to build the program back up. And that's been a challenge. You know, rebuilding at this level is a lot harder in JUCO. You know, we had at that time, after my first year, we was the only Division II team that had an APR, which, you know, I didn't quite understand, but you have to follow what your administration wants to do, not to, you know, just to put it out there. But once we got better, you know, hiring Omar Gonzalez and Mark Matthew was two of my great hires here. Once again, I'm referencing back to staff and having great people around you. We was able to build our program every year to where we went to the national tournament our third year. And then we went to, you know, went back to the national tournament this year and finished third in a very competitive league that, like you had mentioned, that expanded.
There we go. My introduction to the Lone Star Conference was because my buddy Cahill Fennell was an assistant at UTPB. So I didn't know a lot about Division II basketball before, and I fire up his game and say, okay, I'm going to see what we got here. Holy crap. I mean, it's just nothing but a bunch of Division I players running around with a D2 patch on their jersey. It's that conference, and not that the Lone Star is the only one that's like this in Division II, but people completely underestimate that level that you have to be talent wise, mental toughness wise, all that to be successful in that conference. I mean, that is a fight every single day, night in, night out.
I agree with you totally, Brandon. It's like the lower the levels are, and I really say this because I've been blessed to be at the highest level. You really have to love what you do. Like there's certain guys, and I don't want my statements to be, misinterpreted, but there's some guys that they'll do whatever it takes to get D1, and they just settle. That's it. Once they get there, they lose their drive, they lose their love for the game. They're there for, like when I was at Houston, not saying that we had any players like that, but they're there because, we're on ESPN. We're there because of the gear. They're on there because we, fly charter or whatever. Well, at this level, we do some of those things. We've been blessed to fly charter here but we had to get to the NCAA tournament to do that. So
right.
In junior college and in lower, you always have to have those kids that have a passion and love for the game. And you have to have a staff that don't have a big time mentality, that understands that it's about us. And you have to have a way of doing things that understand that, hey man, it's all about winning. It's all about having success. It's all about the love and integrity of the game. There's no shortcuts. You can't have people, like Buzz would always say, hanging out. Everyone has to do their part. And that's what the lower levels allow you to do as a coach.
Yeah. And there's a lot of junior college, there's obviously a lot of junior college players, but there is a lot of what makes junior college so special in Division II basketball, and especially in conferences like the Lone Star, where it's about the fight, right? Like it's about the adversity. It's we can talk about that at the highest levels of Division I, and not to knock on those guys, but at the end of the day, like you lose a game, like it ain't so bad to go back to home on your charter plane and your catered meal and your $2,000 a month apartment and whatever, and it's like it eases the sting just a little bit. I think sometimes, like in the junior college level and the Lone Star Conference, things like that, like you go to war and then you get on the bus and then you stop at whatever you can stop at in time because you got to get back to class at you get back to school at 3:00 in the morning. You got to be up at 8 for class, and it's just it's kind of what makes it special. And the kids that figure that out and buy into that, man, some players.
Well, Brandon, all you said is what we would say at Navarro. Like we have to have guys that say this has to work. Yep. This is it. You know what I'm saying? And then you have to have a bunch of guys that understand that the only way that they're going to get out is they got to play for each other.
Yeah.
So the things that we talk about, you go to a Division I school and they have all these big words like, passion and play hard. Well, those words have to have meaning, especially in junior college, because now your whole life is altered. If you have 1 or 2 bad seeds, or you have 3 or 4 guys that are not interested in trying to help everybody or come under authority, meaning that, the direction of the coaching staff and take advantage of opportunity, you're costing people opportunities. And that's one thing I thought that we did a phenomenal job of, not trying to be arrogant, but to be honest, of picking kids that if they was in different stages in their development. Some guys we would take, they'll probably be like, man, they weren't all just typical junior college kids that were highly talented and they had academic issues. We had gated community kids that was qualifiers. We had Division I transfers. They may have been from, lower levels, but their whole mission was project getting Navarro to the national tournament.
Yeah.
And with that being said, that's why I always say junior college is the purest level of athletics remaining. It's a level that, to me, it still does it for the right reason. And I wish the NCAA would continue to maybe enhance junior college as much as it can, because it serves a great purpose. I mean, you look at guys like Matt Pressey he was an All-American that played for us. DeAndre Brown was a All-American, first-team All-American. Both of those had unique stories. DeAndre Brown came from traditional, Dunbar, went to the state championship game, won a state championship, played on time. Matt Pressey played in a prep school because of his father's job. He up in Boston. a lot of people didn't know who Matt was. He played on a prep school team. AAU team there at Dallas. He came with me. He became a glue guy as a freshman. And through hard work and determination and buying in and busting his tail, he becomes the player of the year in the conference, a first-team All-American, and goes to the University of Missouri. Now, to make that happen, a lot has to happen. You know, first of all, God working in that tremendous family. He had a great family. Matt did a bunch of work. But, boy, my staff and that kid buying in and busting his tail, how do you do that in a year? And that timetable in junior college is accelerated a lot more than, say, Division I. Division I sometimes, and I love Division I, don't get me wrong, but sometimes they give kids, in my opinion, excuses too much of not being successful. You know, and the cycle or their development cycle is too long, in my opinion. And I'll talk, you know, I can talk on that a little bit later at a later time, but I just think that they don't get to the roots of what they need to do. And then the rules don't allow you to really work kids to a point to where they get better. Right. You know, sometimes having more isn't always good. Having less and passionate less is always better than having more that's not invested.
100%. I think it's just, I don't know. I didn't go to junior college. I fell in love with junior college because of a crazy story with Solomon, and you know, who's just one of the weirder stories out there of the many weird stories in junior college, and I think that's just such a huge part of what makes it special is you get those kids that story is what makes it cool. That story is what makes it different. That story is what makes it special. Like you get to tell stories like Gideon George. You get to tell stories like Solomon Heine, Marshall Kearing that we did an interview with last week, who's down at State College of Florida. He's 100% Aboriginal Native Australian. That doesn't happen. But you know what? You don't hear about any of those guys were it not for junior college. Yep. And you know, when you say that it's the purest level of athletics left, it's also not only the purest, but the most able to allow these stories to be told. You know, it's not because of a lack of rules or something. It's just, it creates these unique opportunities. Because trust me, there are plenty of rules in junior college that I slam my head against the wall with and pester the poor president of the NJCAA all the time. But it gives these opportunities so that we can hear those great stories, and then coaches such as yourself help continue to tell those stories in such a great conference as the Lone Star at a great school there with the Javelinas, and it's just it continues.
Let me add to something. You know, it's funny how Division I. You know, Division I is now. Division I is basically junior college. Now, I mean, just be honest with you. Now everybody's putting the best team they can put together for 1 year.
Yeah.
And for years, everybody always, when I first started coaching, that's what they would say. You know, oh, that's in junior college. And you know, I'm a JUCO. I'm a product of junior college, and I played. And I'm until today, I get offended by it. You know, I've coached against, and let me put it on record. I've coached against coaches at the junior college level. And let me get, now I coached in the Old American, no disrespect. The Old American, and I'm not named, with Rick Pitino. We played him 3 times at Louisville. He coaches like a JUCO coach, okay? Like, he coaches like a JUCO coach, you know. I'm just, because there's always people say, some of that JUCO stuff doesn't translate to Division I. Well, it should, because if it did, D1 would be better, to be honest with you. But it's funny when you watch, and I told AB3, who was another JUCO product,
yep.
I told him and Jerome the other day, hey man, y'all can't be jumping up and down and have your players acting with that JUCO energy. That's not good for ratings. You know, that's not. Y'all supposed to sit there and just conduct yourself like you had a play, and right. You know, you guys just sit there and clap and you stand up. Oh, only one guy is supposed to stand up, and these don't. No, that's not JUCO. Is dude, everybody get off the bus. From the filmer to if you blessed to have a trainer who barely can wrap an ankle, but he has a purpose. But hey, bro, it's us against whoever. And that JUCO energy And that JUCO love is what translates into success stories like you report on. And Brian's he's a product of it as well. And that's life. Yeah. And I used to tell our guys this all the time. I said, man, we'd be in a circle, and Brian's been in that circle, and any coach that would come recruit our kids, they had to always speak to our guys. And he's probably heard me say this. I said, junior college is the only level where you can be at Navarro College or you're playing in a little gym like Ranger College, no disrespect to Ranger, and then be in Madison Square Garden playing if you take care of business. Now, who else can do that?
Yeah, 100%.
So when you talk about guys like Kevin Gill at McLennan Community College, Jim Sagona, the Janander, Scott, you're talking about Dale Dotson, you're talking about, you go on Pat Smith, you talk about Bucket, I can go on and name guys, that were, unbelievable hard match. Ross Hodge, are you serious? Grant McCaslin, are you serious? Jamal Green, as an assistant coach. I mean, trust me. How could I forget the guy that's sitting over there at Texas Tech? The architect. Let's be real about it.
I hear he's pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah, really good. But I'm talking about Chris, but I'm also talking about Mark Adams too.
The mad scientist.
Yeah, the mad scientist. Yeah. So there's been a lot of, Chuck Taylor. I can go on, but look what these individuals have done. When they left junior college, they all took a part of junior college. Buzz Williams, another dude. But guys that they've continued to be successful. They've not let that label affect who they were. They've continued on. But, their whole mission is helping people.
Yep.
That's what we're here for. You can't be a very good, successful junior college coach, in my opinion, if you're not in it for the kids.
Yeah, because there's not a lot else to be in it for.
And the funny thing about Division I, and I'm not knocking it, they'll do it to a point sometimes. I'm not trying to be critical, but can I get this extension?
Right.
Now, once I get this extension, but okay, are you really trying to change lives?
Right.
Now, I'm not stereotyping anybody because there's good and bad coaches everywhere. But in junior college, for the most part, in my years of coaching and the guys I've been around that did it right, man, I tell you what, man, they have impacted people for the right reason.
Yeah.
So I've coached against. I had the displeasure of coaching against Coach Estelle, the Paris Dragon Navarro Bulldog matchups. We actually lost in a double overtime game to go to Hutch.
Brian, I'm surprised you don't have green on. and I picked this setting just for you. Not trying. This one right here, that was the first one. That's what you're referring to?
That's just for me. That's just for me.
Oh, that was you. Yeah. That was, yeah. We were blessed to beat him in double overtime. Was that not a war?
That was a war. And Ross, if we talk to Ross, it still pains both of us to this day. Not that we would have won for sure, but we had a kid get suspended the game before who was our best post defender, who would have been.
I think I just heard an excuse.
Yeah, Paul Crosby, who was a grown man in the paint. Not saying we would have won. It was a double overtime game, but every possession matters.
Okay. Let me stop you right there. Now we played twice that year, correct?
We played twice before that. We played 3 times.
Okay, so when you yes, twice before that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So when you came to our place,
yes,
and y'all was ranked 7th in the nation, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember with Jonathan Simmons, the NBA guy. Yeah. Yep. The kid that ended up going to Auburn.
Kenny Gabriel.
Yeah, Kenny Gabriel. The dude you talking about that went up to Michigan.
Yep.
And I'm forgetting Doodles, right?
Yep.
Now we was fortunate. We was very fortunate that night to beat you. You guys beat us at your place.
Yeah, we did.
Right? Y'all beat us, right?
We did. We played pretty well.
So the rubber match was that night, right?
It was.
Okay. So
we needed everybody. We needed everybody.
Okay. Well, I mean, but let me tell you this. There wasn't one person that I didn't respect more, probably in my tenure there, And I forgot the name, like Mike Marcus. He had some great teams. He had Jimmy Butler and those guys too.
Yep.
But Ross Hodge, in my opinion, in the conference, and Scott Janander, and I named some other. You had to be really good to beat them guys, man.
Yep.
Bill Foy, but he learned from Bill Foy.
Yep.
And Bill Foy, who's back at Paris, is a phenomenal coach who won a national championship there after, finishing third in the conference this year. So my whole message is this, man. I didn't mean to get off on this tangent, but you brought it up.
That's good.
We had no control over your guy getting kicked out the game. Brian, it's all about discipline, Brian. No, we were fortunate.
No, it was a great game, and definitely two teams that mirrored image a lot. There was a lot of when we played against Navarro, we knew they were going to be just like us as far as makeup, toughness, grit, how they were coached. They weren't going to beat themselves. You had to go beat them. And that double overtime game, both teams really wanted it. You guys deserved every bit of it. And then after going to Hutch that year, you guys went. And then I went to the 4-year level, and I was blessed to go recruit some of your guys and knew that's a place I wanted to stop. College coaches knew they wanted to stop through there because they knew the makeup of the guys, the character of the guys, how you develop them as people and players. And then they knew that the translation of their ability to have success at Navarro gave them an ability and ingredients to have success at the next level. So talk a little bit about that before we close up, and any other final thoughts you have, Coach. Just wanted to at least give a little bit of love to the good old matchup days, man.
No, that was the best years of my life, except for when I coached the games. And me and Eric and Legend and all of us, we always knew when we played you guys, we had to have a head, locked on. We actually played y'all, I want to think, 3 or 4 years in a row out of 4 for the championship. We're very blessed. But man, you hit on a lot of good points, man.
I gotta say this real quick to Ross's point. So to his defense, the year before, like you just said, you played in the championship, and they actually
he beat us by 1 point. You're right. He beat us by 1 point.
So it kind of went back and forth where there was a stretch where Navarro and Paris were in the championship to go to Hutch almost every year. Stretch.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that I have nothing but the utmost respect. He beat us 50-49. I never will forget. If you scored a layup in that game, it was like you better celebrate it because it was a war. Oakland, the kid Ramon, the Puerto Rican kid from New York, man, he went to Wichita State and just did the same thing to them, so I didn't feel so bad up there to people. But you made a lot of good points, man. Our kids there, our kids there. What we would tell them when we recruit, it started in recruiting, and once they got to campus, they understood what real was and what fake was. Because a lot of people promise kids things, and then they get to campus, and it's totally different. We never promised nothing but an opportunity and a great opportunity to be a part of something special, which they're included in as a family. And a lot of kids needed that. So we wanted our guys to understand that when they left Navarro College, number one, they're going to be better prepared. They're going to be able to impact winning and be able to, just if it's a piece, if you have to be a piece for a year and figure it out, whatever the coach asks you to do, you're going to do. One of my best recruiting stories was a guy named James Thomas. JT was at Tarleton State. He redshirted at Tarleton State, and then he played sparingly, and then he transferred to us at Christmas. And me and Bilal was talking about this the other day. And JT was a 6'4" four-man. And I never will forget this. He helped us get to Hutch. He was the heart and soul of our team that 4th year. And when Sam Houston came to recruit him, they had a kid there that had transferred that was 6'7" from Marquette. And he had all the intangibles, the measurables, and all the whatever they call today. I'm not a big analytical guy. And Jason Hooten came to my office, and JT was in the office. And JT was, like I said, he's a phenomenal kid. And I asked him point blank, I said, Jason, we understand you have this young man there, but all we want to know is if James Thomas comes to your place, would he have a fair shot to play? And Jason, who has JUCO background, he played at McLennan and coached at Weatherford a year and spent a lot of years at Tarleton and worked for Bob Marlin, who's a Hall of Famer too in the JUCO ranks. He looked at me and looked at JT straight in the eyes and he said, yeah, he's going to have a chance, but I want to let you know that this kid is a really good player. And I looked at JT and we looked at him and said, well, good. We're good with it. All we want is a fair shot at it. Well, I say that to not be long-winded to say that by Christmas, JT was starting and ended up being all conference and really helped them build that program there. Not because he was, quote unquote, the player of the decade or whatever, but because of his sheer willingness to sacrifice and know how to win and buy in and bring those lifelong, lessons that we were able to put into him that he accepted and owned. He was able to go and help another coach, build his program there. So we have a lot of examples like that I really look back to and go, man, we did our job. That's confirmation. And as a coach, that's all you want. A lot of these guys that I've coached now, I'm getting to that point. They're 38 years old. They have families. They have careers. And when they text you or call you on Thanksgiving or Christmas, or they just drop a line to you and just say, Coach, thank you for what I've done. It just warms your heart, man. It warms your heart because I'm not here or without them. And I'm not here without God and those unbelievable professionals and assistant coaches that he put in my life. So I'm a very simple man, as you know, Brian. Very simple. I don't try to live a complex life. I try to pass that on to those who listen, that there's no easy shortcuts. There's no easy way. You can't skip steps. Yep. Just continue to move forward every day. Keep God first. And it's all about relationships. You have to have the right relationships with the right people who are going to tell you the truth and care about you.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad. I know you guys. I was like, man, there's not very many guys Brandon doesn't know and hasn't connected with. So I'm glad I got to get you guys connected too. Coach Estelle, thanks so much for coming on, man, and doing great things. Congratulations again on the Hall of Fame. Congratulations on the success at your alma mater. I know that means something to you. Go back there. You shouted out the Be Ready guys earlier. I know you have a lot of influence there to help them understand. Keep that JUCO energy. You got to tell them keep that JUCO energy is good for them.
Well, yeah, man. I tell you what, I never will. I'm always be a junior college guy. And Brandon, it's been an honor to man. I've known of you. I know I've been out of junior college. I think 7 years now, or 8 maybe, and maybe you weren't on the scene maybe when I was there, but It is an honor. I've heard nothing but great things from my junior college friends about what you're doing for the game. You're telling a story. You're utilizing this platform to tell the story and helping. You're helping guys professionally. You're helping kids. Man, you got to continue to do that because at the end of the day, every coach at this level, meaning junior college, I'm telling you, they're gaining a great experience, man. That you're a full-time guy. I know they may get discouraged because they have to teach. They may have to do intramurals. They may have to work in the dorm and be a dorm supervisor, or by the way, recruit and coach and drive the bus. But I'm telling you, if they embrace those things that they don't like to do, if they will embrace them and do them at a high level with a great attitude and then still excel in the basketball piece and relationship piece, they'll be a lot better than I was. But they cannot lose sight of that. They cannot say all these other things, but all I want to do is basketball. You have to be an ambassador for that university or that college. And don't get me wrong, people at these other places that you want to work at, they notice your attitude. They notice how you dress. They notice how you conduct yourself. They know how you work. They know how, every time they talk to you, you're not always trying to get an edge on the job. They know you. And then I'm telling you, it's those guys like that see you that they say, I want that guy. Yep. And all you need is a chance. I want that guy. So I'm always got my eye out looking for the next Brian Burton.
I remember. So Coach Sam Walker is the mentor for my brother, and you mentioned him early on. And so I remember one time I may have come through there in a camp, and you guys, of course, are close, and you were there, and you looked at me and you said, "Is there anywhere you don't recruit?" And that was when I first got a chance to meet you. But and again, you've been tremendous in my career, and along with my brother and so many other people. You mentioned Bilal and Crawford and E. Colbert and Legend. So thanks so much for all you do for the game, Coach. You're a big part of a lot of people's lives, especially, and you've impacted a lot of lives through junior college. And having that circle, people knew if they came to Navarro at the end of practice, you couldn't cut out early if you wanted to sign a player. So you had to have. So Coach Estelle used to have a circle at the end of practice where a coach that came in to recruit had to speak to his team. And that was a powerful time to empower coaches too, to have a voice with your players. So love so much everything that you stood for. You've been a model and example for a lot of coaches to look up to, including myself, including my brother and many others. And just keep up the good work, Coach. Thanks so much for coming on, and good luck.
Hey, hold on, Brian. You left out. How we in practice afterward then?
Prayer.
How did we leave? How did we end? I'm gonna see. Did you remember after you spoke? What did we do?
I would say pray, right?
You better believe it.
Absolutely.
Every day. We lock arms, and we pray. No matter if we had a great practice, bad practice, no matter who was there, because at the end of the day, guys, when you look at what we're facing, whether it's the pandemic, the social injustice piece, whatever, we're all God's children. And I'm not trying to use this time to preach.
No, you're good.
But I'm just saying this to say, he's the ultimate for me, for me, and I don't try to impose my faith on people. I just try to say, for me in my life, he's guided me. He's guided every person to me to have a relationship with that I've benefited from. And also, I hope I've helped them. And I love these guys, man. And that's, as a coach, that is so important, man. It's so important. It's about the relationship you have with your staff, your administration, and your players, man. I think about all those guys every day. But thank you, Brian, man. It's been an honor. Brandon. I could talk to you guys all day. This has been a great platform. It's rejuvenating for me. It's a part of my life that I will always cherish and hold close to my heart.
Yeah, it's been cool having you on, Coach. And a lot of your former players, former coaches have also shouted out during the show. I hope you got to see some of those comments, and hopefully you'll get to see some.
Yeah, I saw DeAndre on here, man. And, I've been offering him another scholarship. He won't come play for me. I mean, if I had a Dre Brown, bro, he made me a great coach. When you got players like that guy, are you serious?
No doubt.
I'm gonna tell another story. Don't get embarrassed, DeAndre. Hold on, one more story. So when I became the head coach, this is a true story. And I know he's gonna say, oh no, but I'm gonna tell you, this is a testimony to DeAndre Brown. So I was an assistant coach in that year. It took about 40 days for me to get the job, or 50 days to get the job. I interviewed and all that stuff. So DeAndre was on that team that lost to Ross, which you pointed out. Thank you for doing that. But he was coming back. So this is a typical JUCO moment here. I'm gonna say this, and I promise I'm done. So Dre, he was kind of bebopping around, and I had told him, hey guys, look, we're gonna have to lock in. Coach is retiring, this and that. I don't know if I have the job, but I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. We're doing this and this. And Dre was doing good things. He wasn't doing nothing bad, but he wasn't excelling in the classroom like I thought he could. So I started signing guys back. And this is way before, Eric and anybody came in the picture. Well, one day, DeAndre came in and he says, hey, Coach, I see everybody signing back. He said, when am I signing back? I said, oh, Dre, you're not quite ready. And he looked at me like, what are you talking about? I said, no, you can't. Here's some things we got to do. And DeAndre did them and everything like that. And then I kind of waited a little bit. And I don't advise people to do this. Let me tell you this, but I was crazy. But anyway, I said, so I told DeAndre probably about middle of he texted me in the middle of the summer. He says, Coach, if you don't want me, I'm going to transfer. I said, well, where you want to go? And he goes, I thought he was stunned, And this is a true story. Not a lot of people don't know the story. But through the relationship I had with DeAndre and his mother and his stepfather, his family, great family there. So anyway, his mother called me. She says, Coach, now this is JUCO for you. Now these are junior college parents now. This is why I say I love you. They say, DeAndre told me he wants to transfer. I said, yes, sir, he sure did. He told me that the other day. She said, tell me what's really going on, because I know DeAndre. So I said, okay, here it is. I want him to do better academically. I said, for him to go D1, he needs to do this, da. She said, Coach, he'll be back there. Don't worry about it. So DeAndre showed up, and he kind of he was in his feelings a little bit, as they say, and I knew that. But now all along, I knew we needed DeAndre. This is a true story. So DeAndre showed up and he played and he did a good job and everything. So at Navarro, you got your financial aid at a certain time. So when he got his financial aid, part of his deal was to earn his scholarship back. Yep. So when he got his disbursement, he got $8.50, something like that. So DeAndre, he told Coach Goble. So Coach Goble came in there. He says, Coach, DeAndre got $8.50. I said, really? He wasn't supposed to get that. And Eric kind of looked at me. But what I'm telling this story as a testimony to DeAndre. Okay, this is my point. It's not about me. DeAndre did everything I asked him to do. DeAndre had the biggest name of anybody on our roster. But DeAndre wanted to win, and he loved Navarro and Johnny Estelle enough to go through that little hard time. And he got his scholarship reinstated, whatever. And when we beat y'all, I know you don't remember. I hate to say that. Me and him was at the middle court in tears, embracing one another, hugging each other. And I will remember this to the day they put dirt on me. He said, Coach, I love you for never giving up on me. And I told DeAndre, I said, DeAndre, you will always be a son to me. I never, ever meant anything but wanted the best for you. And I love you. And he said, Coach, I love you too. And me and DeAndre will always be tied together, not because of that story. And that's one of those JUCO moments, but because we went through something together. And I say that not to embarrass him or anything or to make me look better, but to let you know how much that's the kind of kid we had. The kid today is transferring. You see what I'm saying? He's leaving. He's going. Dre is a great testimony. But when he played against DJ Augustine in Texas, we was in attendance, and he did a great job there because I wasn't surprised. So I know that story may be like, why did you tell that story? But when I saw Dre's name come across there, it's been a few days since Dre played for me. But he's still supporting me, and I'm always going to be here for him. So thank you, guys. I'm sorry I occupied and dominated your time. Love you guys. Man, take some of that stuff I said. Don't duplicate that last story. You need players. But at the end of the day, thank you for what you do.
Be good, Coach.
All right. Bye.
Well, BG, another great episode 3.
100%. I actually just got a text here. I want to read on the air.
Yeah, please.
I don't know if this has passed, but my phone is blowing up right now, so maybe it has. NCAA legislation permitting the eligibility for mid-year enrollees in the following circumstances. High school prospective student athletes who graduated in the spring or summer in 2020 and demonstrated an intent to enroll in the institution before fall of 2020 term. So just kind of relatively normal-ish stuff there. And then 2-year, 4-year, and post-grad transfer prospective student athletes who meet legislated transfer requirements, which I don't know what those are, and did not engage in competition during the fall 2020 term. So a 2-year student at a junior college right now who didn't compete in the fall transferring to a NCAA institution at semester. Interesting. I will dig into that more because I don't know about all that. Interesting. So we'll see. Guys, if there's legislated transfer requirements that don't require that AA to be finished, I don't know. There might be some chaos about to ensue if anybody's got a scholarship left over, and all of a sudden they're looking at the JUCO ranks right now, and so we'll see. So I'm gonna leave it with that.
Might be some real chaos. So break down real quick. So for those that don't understand NCAA jargon, what does that actually mean in English?
I mean, for the junior college space, essentially that means if you didn't play this fall, which you didn't, because junior college doesn't start until the end of January, a Division I school, let's say, for example, if they have a scholarship available at semester, the NCAA might allow that junior college kid to transfer in now to the 4-year school before the junior college season even starts.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So I don't know. We'll see. I'll dig into that some more. But
a lot of interesting scenarios out there anyway with just getting a year back, right?
Chaos.
So even if you do stay and you do play your JUCO year, well, you get the year. So
the transfer stuff is interesting. There's a potential blanket waiver coming. I'm not sure why they need to wait till the 16th to have this meeting, because Zoom calls, like whatever. But they're supposed to meet about a blanket transfer waiver, because unfortunately there's some adults in this business that are acting like children, that are refusing to sign transfer waivers, for kids that, completely legitimate reasons, or what gives a crap if they don't. We're in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
Like, if you're in athletics for what you're supposed to be in athletics for, sign the damn transfer waiver. Like, this stuff is all going to happen anyways.
Right.
You're being childish. And so if you're intentionally going out of your way to hurt a kid, even if the kid did something stupid, they're a kid.
Yep.
They're a college kid. Like, cut it out. Just let it go. It's going to happen anyways. All you're doing is making yourself look bad. So.
Yeah. There used to be a time where you had to get released before the portal. And then there used to be a time where you had a coach could block your permission to talk to certain schools and only give permission to other. And it's like, slowly but surely, it's evolving to where they understand, like, you don't really have the say so to be able to do that stuff.
It's happening. Like, don't fight it. There's an AD that refuses to sign off on a Division I transfer right now. That is a completely legitimate transfer. And he's doing it because he's upset that the kid left.
Yep.
Screw you. Like, why are you an athletic director? Please go do something else.
Right.
So
shouldn't be about it.
There's my 2 cents from the end of the show. Me, who's never afraid to say what I think.
I love it. Never afraid, BG, man. Well, great show today. Thanks so much for all the guests that came on. Thanks for those that tuned in. Be back on Friday again. So Gideon, real quick, we'll talk about Gideon. He's one of our family members, of course, of JUCO Advocate and JUCO Hoops Insider. He had a big week. He has been he's somewhat gone viral, if we want to be honest. His story.
He's Barstool famous.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's gone viral with his story. He's played well. I think it might have been one of the national writers wrote about how good they thought he was going to be as a player. Again, shout out to yourself and to
no, that was all him.
You're part of his dinner circle, but shout out to Gideon George and his success that he's having early in his career. BYU did get a big win against St. John's the other day as well, and a lot of great success stories. He had a waiver go through for LJ Figueroa at Oregon, which is a game changing pickup there. He's an elite level player, was in junior college at Odessa and then went to St. John's and now it's at Oregon.
You want to talk about a guy that brings a JUCO smack you in the mouth and run you over mentality. LJ Figueroa. Whew.
Another Odessa JC guy. We've talked about some of those guys that have had a lot of success. And excited to see what happens in the upcoming months with some of the games and more performances from some JUCO guys. And who knows what kind of rules are coming out and adjustments are coming out. But, we'll keep you updated here. Obviously, follow JUCO Advocate on Twitter. If you don't already, then you're really behind. So make sure you do. And the Live Period podcast, definitely subscribe to that. On the All Access side, we just started our podcast this week. We're in episode 3. We had Wade Mason, who drops today, SFA assistant, who has an incredible story of overcoming stage 4 cancer. And then he beats his team, SFA, and Coach Kelly and Coach Cox. They beat Duke last year at Cameron Indoor, just right after he got diagnosed and cleared to be cancer-free. So an amazing story, Wade Mason there, along with a few others. And we're going to keep having some fun with JUCO Hoops Insider. Keep showing love to JUCO Hoops. Have a good week, everyone, and stay safe.
Be good, guys.